Hello, fellow aliens. Um, Today's video comes to you from a brainchild of a bunch of really strange things that have happened recently, involving, uh, like, creator corporations, if we want to call them that, doing, like, bizarre things. And also just, like, things in general being the systems in place as they are. The first thing I want to talk about is, well, first off, I want to talk about this drawing so I can start drawing. I have the reference over here. It's a little bit more stylized, than the reference, which I'm kind of, like, I'm fine with it. I drew it like this on purpose, but I just did and low-key messed up a traditional drawing, a marker drawing of this one model who I can find a bunch of pictures of but can't find her name on Pinterest. When I looked her up, no lie, all of the pictures were nude. I don't know what part, like, whatever it captioned her name as, something in that meant like nude in another language or something, because it was just a bunch of pictures of different women, but they were all nude, and I was like, this is not what I asked for. So, so I drew this woman, and I was just, like, testing out markers and paper for a future video I want to talk about. There's a couple of things that I want to review, because I've been getting more into art supplies, and there's a whole other conversation about that. But I did this one prior to doing that sketch where it was like very I could explain it in the future, but like this thing that I used to do when I first started drawing, and I'm sure a lot of other people do it, is I pick a place in the drawing and then I like eye measure and just sort of draw out of that, kind of like it's giving spider web. Like you kind of just like draw outward from there, and it creates a more realistic like proportion. But I still really like this drawing, and so we're gonna go through and color it. I think I'm gonna use watercolor, but if that doesn't go well, then I'm gonna not do that, because I tend to digitally with watercolor, I tend to have issues. But so the first instance of structural like shadiness that I saw was this video is gonna very much reveal my politics. So post October 7th, this this member of Smosh, Noah Grossman, liked a lot of stuff on Twitter, just kind of dehumanizing Palestinians, and when people called him out for that, he just kind of proposed a two-state solution, and I don't know where the watercolors are at. Are they in here? Some of them are. They're not in ink. Are they untagged? They're in untagged. Oh, this might be in... Are they my favorites? It is in my favorites. Okay. Let's do this background color. So, basically, a lot of people... Jesus Lord. A lot of people from... like, a lot of fans of Smosh were, like, calling for Noah to, you know, talk about these things. They found a video of him revealing that his great-grandfather, I think, I'm not going to pull up any reference to this. I don't really want, like, a reason why I don't make these videos a lot of time is because I don't really like the attention like the negative attention from talking about things like this. I think that it's important to do, but I also understand that I am not in a very privileged place. And so these things are kind of really hard for me to talk about, so understand that. But yeah, there's a video from 2018, I believe, of him saying that his great-grandfather did the Nakba, and had a statue in Israel, and people were like, hey, this is really weird. And, you know, Noah has not really had to face any repercussions for any of this. I'm sure they encouraged him to make a statement, and that's why he did, but then he immediately went back to liking really mean, really inappropriate stuff on Twitter about Palestinians. And I would just like to very quickly state, like, I know that I've kind of stated it just by the way I'm speaking about this, but I am for a free Palestine. I think genocide is bad. I think that I am a black person in America, and I think that slavery was genocide, and I think that fascism and genocide is bad, and I think that ethnic groups deserve to exist. You know, I don't think that, like, land rights are a very gray area thing to talk about, but I think that if you are culturally and ethnically, you know, part of a land in, like, a spiritual way, the way that a lot of, you know, people are, a lot of indigenous people are, then it is your right to decide what happens to that land. And I think that a lot of the, like, ecological cleansing that Israel is doing to Palestine is really representative of that. You know, I could really get into this, but, like, yeah, politically, I immediately aligned with Palestinians. And so seeing that was really upsetting. And I also got into, like, new gen Smosh specifically because of Noah. And so, you know, finding out that he held these beliefs made me really uncomfortable. Sorry, this brush is just, like, changing size all the time, and it's making me upset. Okay. Yeah, so basically the thing I wanted to talk about here was not Noah and his response or anything. I just had to bring that up. My problem is Smosh's response to Noah has been incredibly telling of their ethics as a corporation. And it really, it's not surprising. The point of this video is to explain that the systems in place are creating these problems, and the people benefiting from them don't care. Smosh doesn't care if you boycott them because you don't want to watch Noah. Like, I've been boycotting Smosh because of Noah for a very long time. Like, other people started doing it recently. And this is not me being, like, a, like, boycott Smosh hipster or, like, whatever, but I have not fully watched Smosh for a very long time because it made me so uncomfortable to think about the fact that they were deleting comments and deleting posts and deleting all this stuff when people asked them to speak up about Noah. It didn't sit right with me. And also to bring up, the second point that I was going to bring up is, recently, this one has me gagged, okay? Recently, Dropout, it's actually an insane sentence to say. Dropout is doing a collaboration, or did a collaboration, with the cop show, The Rookie, a show about the LAPD. I need you to know how absurdist this is to me. The reason I brought up like the segue of Noah is that Noah was on Dropout, and Dropout released a statement saying that they have never had any Zionists on their program and everybody in their program is for a free Palestine. And I don't know if we can fact check that, because my biggest problem with creators and corporations and all these people who, you know, run these bigger channels and stuff is that they tend to say stuff and be like, oh, we handled it in private, and don't ask us anything about it. My least favorite case of this was for years. Curtis Connor was like, oh yeah, like my friend Dean, like we speak to him in private. And then one day he suddenly, his blackface resurfaced and everybody was like, hey, this is like a public problem. Like, can we speak about this? And I find when people are like, oh yeah, like we spoke to them about it and it's okay. Like there's some level of like, that's also sweeping it under the rug, right? And so it's not really surprising to me that Dropout did a very similar thing. I mean, they didn't sweep anything under the rug. They kind of just were like, yeah, we were on The Rookie. As someone who watched The Rookie for a significant amount of time, The Rookie is... The reason I stopped watching it is because they had a plot line that was specifically like a bad apple plot line where one of the bad cops was like found out, but like I'm gonna describe, and like full trigger warning for like racial abuse. One of the cops was one of the rookies who is a black man. His racist white whatchamacallit officer, the people who look over them, I can't think of the word right now, brought him into a neighborhood this is pissing me off. Brought him into a neighborhood with gang violence, specifically to make him talk to this like group of like gangsters, or like being black makes this so funny because it's like I can't fully remember, but I think they were like teenagers. Like I don't remember them being like a problem. I just think it was like the cop was just so racist that he was like, oh my god, these thugs, why don't you go talk to them? And then the main cop is like, okay, and then his supervisor turns off his body cam and hides while the black cop is getting beat up on the ground. And then there's this whole part at the beginning of the episode where they're like, oh yeah, body cams don't fully turn off until or they back record like 20 seconds of footage or something like that. Or I don't remember how long, 20 minutes, something like that. And so the whole plot line is like, oh, he got caught because his body camera caught the footage anyway and they found it and blah, blah, blah. Or when you turn it back on, it rewinds. So he was like, are you okay? Are you okay? And he like leaned down to him and he was like, yeah. And he like clicked his body camera and that's like, oh, like he got him. And it was genuinely so triggering for me that I never watched the show again. So when people are like, oh yeah, no, the Rookie's not propaganda, it's not perpetuating anything, like, oh, it's fine. Like, no. Like, it fully perpetuates exactly what you think it perpetuates. It's propaganda, and it's racist, and there's a lot of things happening where they're like, oh no, like, because we have brown people on the show, it's fine, like, whatever, like, everything's okay. And because the main cops are so young and they're just starting out, like, it's okay and they make mistakes and it's fine. And there's a lot of, I remember episodes where they were like, you have to be prepared to put yourself in the line of duty and you need to be prepared for to ruin your life. And I remember just watching the show and being like, wow, this is like fully propaganda. Like, there was no part of me that was like, I'm not watching propaganda right now. Like, I knew. And yeah, The Rookie is very much like, it tries to be like quote unquote realistic. So it's very like specific. So yeah, it's of all the shows for them to be like, oh, like, yeah, we'll make like The Rookie. I need you to understand, like, how bad of a choice that was. And people are saying that it's a bad choice because they sell merch that says, I forget what it says on it, but it says, you know, like, every authority is bad, basically. And yeah, it's just upsetting, but it's not, again, the whole point of this video is it's not surprising. Yeah, I live in this state of like systemically bad things keep happening and people keep acting surprised, and I don't know. I just felt like I needed to speak up about it. I also wanted to speak up about I hate that people make stuff discourse and then it's like, okay, in a couple of days this doesn't matter anymore. But I wanted to talk about what happened at the BAFTAs, and how that was a systemic failing on both parts. You know, I had a very specific take until I found out that it was pre-recorded and that they could have deleted the footage. And then my take changed slightly. Like, my take was always systemically every group of people that was affected by this, you know, whether it be black people, people with Tourette's, or black people with Tourette's, you know, there's there's no good way to accommodate any of these groups of people after the fact. What should have happened is that they were accommodated before and during. And finding out that they did not need to air the clip of him saying a slur, and they did it anyway, and they edited out a clip of someone saying Free Palestine, we just keep coming full circle. You know, we live in this time in which all these things that are happening, and like, we've lived in this time forever. You know, I know a lot of people like to say like, oh, humanity is like fundamentally bad or whatever, and I don't believe that to be true. But I do believe that, you know, we are susceptible to certain things based off of our humanity. I think those things are you know, our kindness, our understanding. But it still makes it really, really easy for us to experience certain, like, trip-ups or downfalls or anything. Yeah, I think that, you know, it's not surprising for me to be like, yeah, the problem is capitalism. Like, the issue is that people are profiting off of these things. Like, that's not okay. That's what the main issue is that it's easy to shrug your shoulders on being on a cop show if you're being paid big bucks by the LAPD. It's easy to shrug your shoulders if you are, you know, a cast member of Smosh being paid by Smosh, when you're boss is telling you that everything is okay and no one's really worried about the boycott, then no one's going to be worried about the boycott. And that's what's really upsetting to me, is that we live in a society where no one is able to be held accountable, because being held accountable means we have something that you want. And if we don't have something that other people want, they're still getting what they want, so they don't give a shit. Which is upsetting as hell. But yeah, that's just so many things happened all at once that were like, oh my god, these are like very obviously the same problem. And like, is there a solution? Is there I had a whole conversation with my mom a couple of years ago. We got in an argument because I was like, I don't understand why. And like, this is going to sound like a bratty kid ass thing to say, but, basically I was like, we exist on this planet without our will. We were all born into a consciousness that we didn't choose. We live on a planet where everything we need is provided for us for free. Why are we doing this? What is the motivation to, and not like, I don't mean to work, like, yes, I'm a communist, but like not in the like capitalist propaganda way that people say they're a communist. I'm a communist in the way that I genuinely believe that people should be able to pursue what they want and should be able to live happily. If you want to make tables and chairs for the rest of your life, you should not have to like flip burgers for 50% of your day and like dream about having a carpentry business. You should just be able to do that. Like, there is a person for every job, and there is a person whose dream it is to do every job. And we need to provide people with the means to do those things. So basically what I said to my mom was, I was like, what are we doing it for? Like, what's it for? And what she said to me was, what's the solution right now? Which I think is what the biggest problem we're having. We're watching all these systemic problems just like build up over and over again. And people really want like a solution right now. Like, I hear a lot of leftists say like, oh, like you guys aren't going to be able to do the revolution, like blah, 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 whatever. And it's like, yeah, because why are we currently talking about the revolution when most of the people who want to revolt are going hungry every day? Like, I know that's a very like liberals will say that, like, oh my god, like, but like genuinely, we need the energy. Like, a lot of people are sick all the time, and like that's a whole other conversation, but like genuinely, these systemic problems, like we need to create resources. Like, and if all the things that we're trying are ill-fated, then we need to recoup, and we need to try something new. And I think that's what the biggest issue is everybody's pointing and being like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And like, it's so upsetting. Like, I think one of the best things, and a lot of people were talking about this when it happened, was the general strike in Minnesota was one of the best examples of what we could be doing. You know, I don't, and like, I don't think that the things that people are doing are fruitless. I don't want to say, you know, that boycotting Smosh doesn't do anything, or that speaking up about what Dropout is doing, working with a cop show, is bad, even though everybody on Twitter will tell you that you should shut the fuck up. I think that you should keep speaking. Yeah, I just think that, like, again, I'm a communist. I believe that everybody should do what is in their means to help their community. If you have the ability to do more, you should be doing more. And it's really hard, again, to hold people accountable to doing more. But we need to, and like, it doesn't fall on people who can't do more to like convince other people, but like, that's what we need to be speaking about. Like, you know, I'm so tired of people picking a topic and then just putting fatigue after it and being like, I don't want to do that anymore. Why? Like, think about other people. Have empathy. Consider what you could be doing for somebody else. You know, I'm very grateful for the people in my life who choose to help me every day. I would not be alive without them. And I think that more people should understand that that's the case. And put systems in place to help people like that. They should put systems in place to help disabled people who deserve to be happy and deserve to enjoy, you know, going to events and seeing things and experiencing the world without getting scared that they're going to say something awful. You know, Black people should be able to be in public without being afraid that they are going to be called names. Palestinians should be free. You know, there's a lot of things in which people should be able to do things, and they should have the freedom and the free will to do them, because we exist to, you know, to love our lives, to learn, to grow, to be better. And it's really weird that it's hard for people to fundamentally understand that. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to speak on that. I know every day there's a new thing that happens that is this problem all over again. And you know, I used to be the kind of person who was very, again, not fatigued. Like, I am fatigued because I'm disabled, but like not in that kind of way. Like, just like upset about the, you know, political climate and the world that we live in. And I think a lot of other people don't actively keep up with what Donald Trump is up to, because it's kind of gotten to a point where it's just frustrating. I did see that he faked his shooting, which was funny. His assassination attempt. My mom and I also had a conversation about that where she thought it was AI. If my mom somehow stumbles upon this video, it was not AI, but it was staged. It's wild. I literally told her, I was like, because my mom is a nurse, and she was like, there is no way if he got shot in the ear that he healed that quickly, and that he also didn't, like, she was like, cartilage does not heal. And I was like, maybe he just got kind of shot, like a little bit, and it like nicked his ear or something. But she was like, he would have a permanent scar because cartilage doesn't grow back. So, you know, maybe have a nurse for a mom, because she'll be like, hey, that didn't happen. And she was right. Yeah. Again, no one come for me, please. I don't want the FBI to show up at my house. Allegedly, none of the stuff I said, or truthfully, none of the stuff I said is real, and it was all alleged. Yeah, but I just, you know, I got to a point where I was like, I'm gonna rage quit this conversation for a while. But I have become incredibly more hopeful. I don't know why that is, but I see, like, I don't want to be the kind of person that's like, oh, like, nothing's changing, like, oh, these systemic things keep happening, like, oh, what are we gonna do? Like, genuinely, I feel like things are changing. I genuinely see a future in which we get better as a society. I see it. Like, I want people to understand that, but we need to actually, like, media literacy wise, understand why things are happening, and understand that we cannot turn to corporations, we cannot turn to, you know, media platforms, we cannot turn to these groups of people and expect them to be the change. You know? Like, Smosh has been doing this now for, like, 2.5 years? Yeah? Almost 3 years? They're not going to stop. Every time Dropout gets called out for something, they say, oh my god, I'm so sorry, and then they do it again. The frickin' Brits are the Brits. They're going to continue being British and annoying and really awful to disabled people. What we need to do is understand that we as a community and we as a people are individually strong without them. And we can support each other. I have so much love for everybody in my life, and I have watched people grow and change and become better in ways that I didn't even know were possible. You know, I'm I'm not always a very hopeful person, but I see things changing. I do. Okay. I'm going to take the last however long of this video to just decompress and draw this picture. I do regret not doing her face correctly and doing it more stylized, because as much as I like this, I do also want to change this. Yeah, I hate that setting. I'm going to turn off scatter too. Is this a better brush? Oh, it's so light. Oh, I hit eraser. I got a macro pad, and it has like 24 macro buttons on it, and I only have half of them set to things. And I always forget. It also has a knob, so there's like more buttons and stuff, but I like always forget what I set each one to, and then I'm like, what am I doing? Okay, so this is better. What was I doing? Oh, lip. Yeah, I really like this video. I do like this video. I think this is going to be a good concept to talk about. But I like this drawing a lot. In the future, I might, like, obviously, I'm probably going to speak about these things again. I kind of danced around. Oh, I like this brush better now that it actually works. I kind of danced around my politics, mostly because I was like, oh, I want to talk about, like, art and stuff, and I don't really want to get into that, but I have been a leftist for 5 years. Well, no, I've been a leftist since I was in high school. I was very much already a socialist when I graduated from high school. And that was thanks a lot to my mother, who, you know, was not a big fan of capitalism while I was growing up. Okay, let me turn down. Look at the knob. It turns down the opacity. W. I'm gonna turn it down a little more. But yeah, I grew up in a very weird space where I didn't really feel afraid to speak about those kinds of things. But on the internet, anything can happen, so I was really scared to speak on those things openly. But I have a lot of free time right now, and I'm trying to decide what I want to make videos on, and I decided that this is a fundamental part of who I am, and it's really important to me. I took a sociology class when I was still in college. That was probably one of my favorite classes to take, just because it was something that I understood. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt very, you know, connected to the ideas. I feel like I should use blue as the undertone here. And I'm probably gonna color these lines too. Oh, I should probably darken this. Hello? But yeah, I've always felt this sort of urge, and like, yeah, it's probably the autism. It's probably the, you know, the need to be right. And like, I don't think I'm right. Like, I think that a lot of politics and a lot of, like, even scientific ideas are, you know, largely guesswork. And I'm not saying that it's not, you know, factual because it's guesswork. Like, there's a big gray area about that kind of thing, about theories and stuff like that. And I also wanted to say, I was just thinking about this. My biggest problem with Noah from Smosh is not, and like, yeah, him being a Zionist is bad, is like really, really bad. But I think my biggest problem with him is his love for conspiracy theories. And I think a lot of like misinformation in those spaces causes people to, you know, create sorts of mentalities that, you know, mentally like change them as a person. I think that is probably the biggest issue with somebody who maybe can't get away from, you know, the ideas of their ancestors and of their past. If they understand, or they think they understand something so faithfully, you know, like there's a lot of like quote unquote conspiracy theories that, and I know I'm just sounding like every other human being right now, but like, or like every other leftist for sure, where I'm like, some of the conspiracy theories are true. Like, yeah, they definitely, the FBI for sure killed MLK. They sent him a notice telling him to, again, all of this is alleged, please do not come to my house. If anybody is wondering, I am not suicidal. But yeah, they sent him a memo telling him to commit suicide, like right before he died. Like, yeah, maybe be a little bit more careful about that, you weirdos. Yeah, there's a lot of elements of that. Sorry, this drawing is so cutie. Look at the watercolor. It's taking me forever, but it looks good. I probably am going to just make a watercolor brush because this brush is annoying me. And I knew it when I started using it. But it's fine because I was lazy and I just wanted to use a watercolor brush, so it's okay. But yeah, like that kind of stuff, like the stuff like MK Ultra, there's a lot of stuff that has, you know, there's a type of conspiracy theory that feels more grounded in reality, and then there's like the other stuff, like the QAnon stuff, where people are like, oh my god, like definitely you know, McDonald's is putting McDonald's is putting sorry, estrogen in the cows. The cows they get are trans. And your kids are gonna get trans from eating McDonald's. Like, none of that is actually happening, right? Like, those are just fear-mongering. But I think that a lot of people who get comfortable with that mentality tend to believe it, and then it creates a cycle where they just become more susceptible to stuff. You know, and I could go down a whole rabbit hole with this thought. I was just thinking, like, is there a connection between that and like people who are more susceptible to hypnosis? Like, does some of this stuff like straight up just hypnotize people? What did I see recently? Oh, people are saying Jim Carrey isn't real, and there are people who genuinely believe that Jim Carrey got switched out with a different person. Like, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, where it's like, and like, I think it's bullying when people are like, oh my God, like, the government doesn't even have to do it to you, you're doing it to yourself. It's like, as someone who was in a delusion for a year straight, sometimes you are just, like, especially, again, with the systemic problems we are living through right now, I understand why people are susceptible to these kinds of thoughts. But I think that it's important to have media literacy. I think it's important to have, you know, like a healthy level of skepticism. Like, your level of skepticism should be when people say to you that Jim Carrey is fake. You should go, maybe this video of this person saying that Jim Carrey is fake, maybe this is propaganda and maybe this is fake. Maybe people are doing this because they are susceptible to propaganda, and maybe I should look more into this instead of having the type of skepticism where you look at a video of Jim Carrey and you say, I think he's not real. I think that's a fake guy. You know? Yeah, I think that kind of stuff is really dangerous. I think that that is a big problem that people are having is, you know, people read stuff online and then they run with it, and it's stuff like, it's stuff like Jim Carrey isn't real. It's stuff like, you know, this group of people is bad, or this group of people is bad, and you should hate this person, and here's all these reasons why you should hate this person. And again, I do see, like, shifts. Like, I could not conceive of the way in which people turned on Taylor Swift when that album came out. Like, okay, and like, again, hi. Enchanted's my favorite Taylor Swift song. Nobody come for me. But, you know, I have had a sour place for her for a while for a lot of different reasons. Mostly because I just didn't relate to her music, and then that sort of grew into a, you know, more fundamental misunderstanding with her as a person. Like, you know, I'm not a billionaire. I never want to be a billionaire. I don't understand inviting my fans to my house or whatever that was that she did. You know, I just think that it's all very bizarre. And that's all, and period. No, I'm joking. But yeah, it was so refreshing to see so many people. Again, this is another case of like understanding media literacy. Is you know, so many people were like, hey, these lyrics are bad. Let me explain to you all the ways in which these lyrics are bad because they're really bad. And just being able to see, you know, people just analyzing stuff. I've been seeing so many videos of that Harry Styles performance where it's just not up to par with what you would expect. And people are, you know, talking about it and criticizing him. And, like, I never thought I would see the day where people are just fully criticizing Harry Styles. I think we opened up some sort of floodgate of people actually caring. No offense to people, but I think we opened up a floodgate of people caring when we finally were able to, like, fully discuss what was going on with Drake. Sorry, give me a second. My cat's being weird. Miss Baby. What you doing? She decided she needed to be on my desk right now. Honey, you can't sleep there. This is live cat commentary. She is very confused. Okay. I think I can go back to drawing now, maybe. Or maybe she's gonna rage at me. We have to... Oh my god, she's trying to help me draw. We have to get her spayed. So she's not eating, so she's trying to now eat my stylus. Okay. Is that yummy? Hi, Tiny. Y'all pray for me. I don't know what she's doing. But yeah, I think that we really created a lot of more conversations. Again, the corporations don't give a shit, which is upsetting. Who's surprised? Nobody. And like the thing that pisses me off is so many, and I think this, you know, this is a very liberal sentiment, but a lot of people are like, oh my god, like, but like, how do we get the corporations to care? Like, we need them to care. And it's like, or we could just tell them to go fuck themselves. Like, why do we need them to care? Like, I understand having the like manpower behind us, but unironically, is that the kind of manpower you want? It's like, you know, again with the frickin' rookie, the idea of the rookie is that they want to reform the police but not actually defund and like change the structure of our system. Oh my god, kitty cat. She just did a trick shot over my entire drawing tablet like it was a slide. I think she's finally getting down. Yes! W, we win these. But yeah, no, like the systems in place want to perpetuate the systems in place. Like, we are not going to fix the system by going through the system. Like, reform is not the answer. The answer is to change fundamentally these systems under which we live. And usually, for me, that just means fucking ignoring them. You know, you're mad about dropout. If you have the care and consideration and energy to call them out, good for you. If you don't, ignore them. And I know that's like basically a boycott, but like I think boycotts are more vocal. And I think the easiest way for a lot of people to actually tangibly change certain things is to literally just ignore it. Don't think of it as a boycott. Don't think of it as, oh, what the hecky? Not the color I wanted. Don't think of it as something that you're doing actively. You know? Don't think of it as something you don't even care about. Do not think about it. And if you do think about it, remind yourself why you changed your stance on a certain thing. When I come across Smosh content, I always think about why I stopped watching. Because it's so easy for me to have the freedom to do so when I just decided that I didn't need to give a shit about Smosh, not about genocide. About this media corporation that decided that they care more about making money than supporting their fans. Like, why would I give a shit about them? Like, what a disgusting thing to do. You know, I think a lot of people misconstrue this feeling that they have of not giving a shit. With like that like passiveness that they create in their minds. Where they're like, okay, I don't give a shit, so I am apolitical and I don't care and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you can take action by not giving a shit. Excuse me. I again want to take a little commercial break to talk about this drawing. This is really good. I genuinely can't believe this drawing is as good as it is. One cool thing that I did, that I usually forget to do, is that I saved the sketch as the sketch before I started doing the coloring. So you will be able to see not only the like preview one that I did, time lapse, but I will also have the full time lapse at the end, which I love having. I usually, like, it's not out of laziness or anything. I usually just genuinely forget, and then by the time it's saved, I'm like, oh god. And then when I start, I guess I could save it after. Because usually I just forget to save the sketch after I do the sketch, and then I start coloring, and then I'm like, well, I already started coloring. But I was like, I guess I could save it after the colors as a different thing instead of just, but like, that's what the problem is. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I should just like be making a mental note. I guess it's just weird because I never export sketches. So my brain just like doesn't think about that at all. I once drew this drawing. I think I talked about Angel Ganov in my last video, but I drew a drawing for his Draw This in Your Style challenge, and my mom came to me and said, wow, that looks like a drag queen. And I think I'm feeling that way about this drawing. And like, you know, there's nothing negative about drag queens, obviously. It's just funny that I like masculinize faces in such a specific way, because like I was like, why did she say that? During that drawing, I was like, why would she say that? But like, yeah. I I tend to have this like masculinizing energy to my faces, and I think it has something to do with the way I sketch, and like the angular nature of it. I also think that I just fundamentally have a very like specific art style that like has grown out of all the things I've studied. There's like a manga-esque nature to it. But yeah, especially another thing I want to talk about is that I got really good at hatching. What are you doing? My cat is now in between the like back pillow I keep on my chair and like the actual chair. Okay, she's a sandwich. But yeah, so I used to really want to do hatching, and then I was kind of bad at it. And I watched a YouTube video on hatching. If I can find it, I'll put it in the description. And it made me much better at hatching. Fundamentally, I just want to say that the thing that I learned that helped me the most was to follow the forms, because I had always been taught that hatching was supposed to, like, you were supposed to decide the direction. And so being taught that that is simply not the case was really thrilling. As thrilling as learning hatching can be. But yeah, it made my hatching so much better to learn that you're not, supposed to just go in one direction, and you can kind of go in whatever direction the object you're drawing is actually flowing in. And you can just be messy too. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, a lot of these lines are just to help me figure out a direction and figure out where the shading goes, and less about the actual, like, visual appeal of them. I think this needs more texture. It's kind of smooth. Maybe I can just put a texture over top. Okay, I want to color the line art. We're gonna do... I'm gonna leave the black parts black, but we're gonna take a darker tone on the rest of these. Oi! I forgot I did that. Okay, well this part is actually just black. Let me fix that. Oh my god. That is too light. Yeah, but there's definitely something about this that's coming through. This drawing is so pretty. Like, I keep just looking at it and being like, whoa. Maybe in the future I'll try to draw her again, because I keep looking at her actual face and, like, being upset with myself. But overall, I think this is very beautiful. This is making the textures appear way more. Which looks so beautiful. Every time I make these videos, or, you know, video podcasts, whatever it is I do, I always get so worried beforehand. And then I just, like, once I'm actually sitting down doing it, I'm just, like, jamming. Like, I'm having so much fun right now. And I also wanted to, like, I was like, when I was drawing this, I was like, I should probably, like, try really hard to make this good. But I think it's kind of fun to just make something kind of good. And, like, I've gotten to a place, I think I've mentioned this maybe in a episode before, where I said that I've gotten to a place in my art in which everything I make is good. Maybe I said that in my last one. I don't know. But it's true. Everything I make to me is good. Like every full thought out, planned out illustration. Oh, I gotta finish this before I do that. I want to darken her eyebrows because I forgot to do that. So in that case, I just get to sort of experiment with whatever I'm drawing. It was a really eye-opening experience to go through such a, like, terrifying, months-long burnout in which everything I made I hated and I couldn't even finish a single drawing. But on the other side of that has been something so wonderful. And I'm really proud of myself for getting to this place. I genuinely don't understand how I got here. Like, so many other artists just never get to that place. And I was just so lucky to arrive there at such a young age, in which I still have so much time to, hone and craft my skills and just kind of do whatever I want and play around and have fun. I think what I'm learning today is that I'm a very grateful person, and I don't allow myself to be grateful nearly enough. But I'm grateful for my abilities. I'm grateful for the people in my life. I'm grateful for being able to understand and communicate, the things, the things that I see. I know for a lot of people, they're currently looking around at the world confused as to how we got here. And I'm not really all that confused. And I think that that is a benefit to when I decided to learn about these kinds of things. And I'm grateful to my blackness and my social standing to be able to actually empathize with certain things. It's becoming a little bit more like oh, Jesus. Like, it's not her, but it's like kind of her. Way more than it was before. I'm just so in awe of my artworks. Okay, I'm gonna blend out these colors with the blender. I don't know if I have it in here. Oh, I do. I'm gonna use this one. Okay, I forgot about this section, my bad. The heck? Is it on a separate layer? Surely not. Oh. Why is it being weird? I'm just stupid. It's fine. I'll just choose this color. Erg. Okay, now I gotta do this again. I'm just gonna color pick from here. I hope this is thrilling commentary. I'm just kind of at the end of this drawing. And I don't know, I think I talked about systemic problems enough for today. My autism's a little bit tired. Little mini story time. When I was first starting to think that I was autistic, and this is a video topic I wanted to talk about, or a podcast topic, or whatever type of content I make. But, I was talking to my stepdad on the phone for so long about music streaming services and the different nuances based on platform, that I made my throat sore. And when he hung up the phone, like to hang up, he said, yeah, okay. Well, I'll talk to you soon. And I was like, yeah, bye. And then afterward, I just sat in the feeling of like, did I really just talk? It was literally 30 minutes straight of me explaining different music streaming platforms and how they differ. And, yeah, I was like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I think I'm autistic. I think that's the most autistic thing you can do. Maybe. But yeah. That was a really fun conversation. I try not to like say topics that I want to talk about in other, videos, because I get concerned with myself and, my issues with actually making videos, that I don't want to be like promising anything that doesn't end up coming to fruition. But yeah, I do kind of want to talk about the saga of my favorite music streaming service and how it just sort of transformed into something else, and how weird I find that. So, if you like cryptic incentives to watch videos, there you go. It's gonna be 1,000,000 years long, just like this one is. I was really worried today when I sat down to draw this because I had just been doing so much traditional art today that I was going to have a really bad time drawing digitally. Because that's been a thing for me recently, but this drawing is so much fun to make. I'm just genuinely having such a good time. I promise I'm almost done. I know it's been an hour and a half of just me coloring. I hope I've been entertaining enough and not super frustrating. Okay. The last step I want to do to this drawing is I want to pick this and see if this is white. Oh, it is. Rip. This isn't gonna really work. I'm gonna make this slightly grayer. Okay. And then we're gonna go above. And add a paper texture to this. I have one that's my favorite. It's this one. It's pastel paper. There might be some other good ones. Yeah, the rough paper is also pretty good. I might use this one instead. So we just put this on top. Hit overlay and then lower that to like 20 or something. And then I don't know if I've ever done this in a video before. Then I take and go to, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm going to filter other random noise, and then it opens the noise thing. And then I'm setting my noise parameters, level 75, opacity 50. And then I also put this on overlay and put it at around the same. It adds like an extra layer of texture. And that's how I texture my artworks. I also think I'm going to do a blur. I don't know if you can apply a filter to it. You can't. You can't. Okay, so I'm gonna do, well, because I can just do this layer, silly me. Okay, blur, blur. And then we're gonna hit this with hella blur so that it sort of smooths out a little bit. Wow. And then I can show you what it looks like without. With. I might turn this down a little bit. Oh, I bet. Gives it sort of like a dreamlike quality almost. Show you it up close. I don't know why I'm doing all this. Okay, and then this is the completed drawing. This took way longer than I thought it would take for something so simple, but I love it. It's good. I will have the what is it called? Because my brain's saying speed paint, but not speed paint. Time lapse. I'll have the time lapse right after. Oh, my bad. I was on the wrong one. I swear I'll learn how to use this thing. Okay. Right now. Okay, thank you so much for hanging out with me for so long. I hope some of the stuff I said was interesting. I hope this drawing is interesting. Yeah. I will see you soon, and goodbye.